Hi everybody, Matt Lawton here, and this is the Astrological Winds channel, and we are going to take a look at the eclipse today, the last of the three eclipses for our second eclipse season of this year. The one that actually perfected last night, overnight, with the full moon in Capricorn at 14 degrees. And we're also going to take a look at the whole week's astrological weather between July 5th and 12th, Sunday to Sunday. Okay, last of the three eclipses, and we're back to another lunar eclipse, which, as I've mentioned before, a lot of what we feel on a personal level anyway during lunar eclipses is more internal, is more emotional, is more the stuff you're chewing over in your brain a lot these days. So, and that's not to say that real world physical events may or may not occur or actually be feeding what that stuff is that you're chewing over, which indeed, in my opinion, is exactly what we have going on with this eclipse. Now, third eclipse of this season, and most eclipse seasons only get two, so this one got three. And what you notice about this one, the first two were on that Gemini Sagittarius axis, which is where the nodal axis is right now, the north node in Gemini, the south node in Sagittarius, and they just got there. So what's happened with this eclipse is, even though the moon has gone into Capricorn, which is the next sign over from Sagittarius, it's still close enough to the node, that south node in this case, that it did have a very small partial lunar eclipse occur. And that's very telling to me in the whole energy of what I think this eclipse is mainly about. We have an eclipse that's in Capricorn, and it's opposite the Sun and Mercury retrograde conjunct in Cancer, and the ruler of Capricorn is Saturn, which is also retrograde and just went back, if you remember last week, into Capricorn, and is at the critical 29th degree of Capricorn right now. So all these things to me point towards the past. Capricorn, Cancer, cardinal energy, Saturn, retrograde energy, Mercury retrograde. Those things, all those things, the time frame that they associate with mainly is the past. And so what I think we've got happening here is a tendency to react to what's going on around us in our personal lives, which of course is attached a lot to what's going on in the world too, especially these days, that the tendency is going to want to go back to the past to look for answers, to look for some kind of stability. And when you think about Capricorn first, Capricorn, the moon in Capricorn is the most uncomfortable of the zodiac signs for the moon to be in. And it's ruled by Saturn, and Saturn's all about keeping control, keeping discipline, keeping restriction, so not allowing the emotions to dictate or be part of the decision-making process. So the moon is all about emotions. So when it's in Capricorn, that's very uncomfortable for it. And so right away we have a very weak moon here that can react to restrictions and authority fearfully, basically, by trying to create some kind of hard structure that will function in that situation. And so it will look to the past in order to do that. And then when you think about even the Sun and Mercury retrograde in Cancer, once again, Cancer is all about our heritage, our family, our home, our nation, all things that, we've built an identity off of from the past. So those things, like the Capricorn Cancer axis is like this, it's the home, family versus career, public life axis. So it really has a lot to do with literally what is really the most two in regular roles we play. Family, home, and career in public. So it really is based on, traditional things. And then we top that off by saying, okay, they're both cardinal signs. And cardinal signs, their biggest interest is like literally survival. Like, what do we need to do to make sure we're going to survive? So a lot of what that is has been based on past experiences, and Capricorn's built structure based on those past experiences of a system that works in order that we survive. And Cancer's the same thing. It builds a structure around the home, actually a nesting kind of thing, to make sure that our normal needs and resources get met. So that's a lot of what's going on in this now. We look at Saturn too, because Saturn's the ruler of Capricorn. And Saturn, the moon and sun are us. That's our personality. The sun is like our life and what we're striving for, our goals. Our moon is our inner emotional kind of feeling. So the two lights or luminaries are like the two things that really make up who we are. And Saturn is the most distant planet from the moon and sun, or the lights, as far as what the eye can see anyway. So Saturn basically for our personality and emotions feels cold and distant. Though its function, its need for structure and discipline and authority and law and order, all that stuff feels very cold to the basic personality of who we are. So Saturn is the planet furthest from the lights, and Aquarius and Capricorn, the two signs that it rules, are the two signs that are furthest from Leo and Cancer, which are the two signs that the sun and moon rule. So that's why when Saturn's involved, it's like, gosh, don't you care about my feelings in my life? Well, no, not really. What I really care about is that society continues to function so that it can continue to survive. So Saturn has just slipped back into Capricorn, where it really looks to the past and the things in the past that have worked through hard times to rely on to get through hard times again. And that's the structures that we built and the authorities that we looked up to. So the tendency right now is to return to the past. Even with this south node moon, this eclipse is closer, the moon is closer to the south node. Once again, the past. The problem with that, though, is all that karma is tied up in that too. Our personal karma, our collective karma, we can see this stuff playing out all throughout the world right now. So it's like a very, very past driven, and that's what I think we're gonna see. I know there's a lot of people out there who are like, we can lift things to a higher octave of energy, which we can. We can rebuild structure, we can make structure better. But we have to face the fact that the normal human being who is out there just trying to survive is going to be driven by their instinctual behavior, which is what the moon is tied into. So despite all of what we, can lift ourselves and others up and stuff, in a general sense, humans are going to unfortunately look to the past in this situation to bring structure back, even means sacrificing some of their freedom and ability to express who they truly are, their lights, their luminaries, their this Saturn and the Saturn energy, and even Mercury retrograde in Cancer, going backwards, is looking for things in the past that have helped it out. Now, there's another tough thing going on with this eclipse too. It has formed a T-square with Chiron, also retrograde in Aries. And I think really when I look at this, this is the pain and the anguish that we're all feeling inside. And in Aries, it's really taken on to a level of individualistic energy that's really just for you only. Like I said, when Chiron went into Aries, I really felt like it's going to be all about taking self-responsibility for our own healing. Now, with a retrograde in Aries, it's almost like the wounding. We've crawled back into our cave and we're licking the wounds right now. And what that means is we need to rebuild our strength. There's a lot of emotional wounding that's gone on. There's a lot of literally physical wounding that's gone on. And now we're like the bear or the lion that's injured itself. It has to go back into its lair. And it has to first of all, allow that injury to heal so it's back at full strength and not vulnerable in the outside world. But it also just needs to build up its inner strength and confidence again to go out there and be, the warrior for its own life, which is what, with wisdom, like Chiron had. So really, really, this T-square with the sun and moon with Chiron just shows how much the individual pain that people have been going through and where that's at. And this retrograde of just having to take it in, learn from it, rebuild strength, not try to push it out. Now, there are 3 things in the eclipse that also are positive things that we can use. And the first thing I want to mention is go back to the Sun-Mercury conjunction, okay? Okay, it is retrograde, but when the Sun and Mercury are together, we get very, very subjective in our thinking and our viewpoint, okay? Now, the good thing about that is that our unique creativity can come out, and we may get a lot of ideas, especially ideas related to communication, business, education, information, travel, that are oh, this is what I want to do. So it may be something completely new. And this is a good thing, because when Sun and Mercury come together in a conjunction, it's like a new moon almost. It's like a good starting point. However, because Mercury is retrograde, right now it should only be the idea. It shouldn't be taking steps actively in the world to make it happen. It should be only up here right now as a new idea, and use the next week to think about how, what do I want to launch that's really personally interesting to me. Is it a new business? Is it a new way of doing things? A new approach? New way of communicating with people? New way, whatever it may be, it should be something really personal that you're feeling. And this is a week where you really have the time to get it down, to organize and plan it. And so that's a good one. And what's going to really help us with that, the moon is also, and the moon is trine Uranus, and the sun, Mercury retrograde, is sextile Uranus. We talked about that last week. Well, this moon is trine Uranus. Now, it is a separating trine, and that to me means there's probably been an idea you already had in the last 4 days, maybe even the last 4 hours, because it's a cardinal sign, the 4 hours before the exact full moon eclipse, that is. Now, a lot might have been going on. Uranus can really give us a lot of ideas quickly. Boom, 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 And sometimes we miss them because we're caught up in our mind, the monkey mind, too much, and instead of allowing the intuition to come through. So you may have gotten some kind of download in the last few hours to the last 4 days that was a really good idea. And you might have been slightly aware of it. You need to go back to that idea and give it some energy, because that's the one. And it, it's something that should spark you and excite you and get you enthusiastic and wanting to go out there. And it should be something very individually exciting again, too. Just like the sun, Mercury is subjective, moon, Uranus can be very subjective, too. But it does want to connect with others because it's really excited about that stuff. So it's creative intelligence, like a lightning bolt, boom, right into the top of your head. So whatever that idea was, you need to latch onto it. Now remember, with Cancer too, all this energy in Cancer, it's our family and our homes that are causing a lot of the distress and issues that we're having. So the moon Uranus may give us that energy to, break away. The sun, Mercury, is going to be I'm inside thinking about all this stuff that my family and my home and my nation and these groups of people are putting me through stress, whether they realize it or not. It doesn't really matter. But the moon Uranus can give us that spark to not brood in our cave only like Chiron, but to actually come up with some really good ideas for ourselves. And we probably already got the download. We just need to go back and review and remember that moment and then just put the energy into it. And what's interesting too is the moon is sextile Ceres too. So it may have opportunities to do with what Cancer actually wants. And that is making sure our needs, our basic needs, are met. And our families and our loved ones and our homes, that we're getting the resources we need. Not the ones we want, the ones we need. So the opportunity is there. But there's some odd stuff with this eclipse for sure, the family stuff. And, Saturn is still quincunx the North Node. And as I said last week, that is authorities purposely trying to mislead large groups of people, and people having to adjust to that and figure it out for themselves. It's that North Node in Gemini. We're getting a lot of information, too much information. We need to figure out what's right and what's not for all of us. And it really, that Gemini, once again, it's local. That's where you're going to find the power and the help and the support. Now, there's 3 other things to mention this week. So once again, Mercury retrograde, right? Go through all these ideas internally this week. Don't start anything new out there yet, because it's probably going to go awry or not the way you really want it to. But next Sunday, a week from today, Mercury goes direct. So at that point, Venus will have already been direct for 3 weeks. We're going to see our worlds start to move forward in a more normal direction. Will it be immediate? No. It will probably take the rest of July, because we're going to be in the shadow period of Mercury and Venus both retrograde still. But things will start to move forward in our normal lives, and we'll start to be able to release some of that. So after next Sunday, a lot of those ideas can actually start to be generated, and maybe even wait until the next new moon in 2 weeks. Give it an extra week just to make sure you get out of that shadow. You've got all your T's crossed, you got all your I's dotted on the plan and how you're going to do it. So, and there's another thing this week that's going to make this week kind of continue the really crazy energy we've been seeing, and that's Mercury retrograde is square Mars basically the whole week. It's exact on Wednesday, but because Mercury is already going to be slowly slowing down, it's going to stay on that square to Mars. And let me tell you guys, like, Mercury Mars can make all of us ornery. Just think of that word, ornery. That's Mercury square Mars. And it's all of us, because Mars is tied in with our ego very much, and so is Mercury even. It's, you know, Mars in Aries wants to go and do what it wants to do. It's strong there. And, you know, being held back by Mercury retrograde in Cancer is just going to piss it off. And you're pissed off at yourself, and you're pissed off at the people around you, and it can come out. So this is like, you know, energy once again that's going to like have a lot of blowhard BS coming out of people's mouths all week, you know, all of us included. So, I mean, we just need to realize this is going to be another really tough week on the emotional level of just trying to deal with other people, and like the anger and the upset feelings that everyone seems to be going through right now, and is just manifesting across society in so many ways. So that's Wednesday. And then the last thing I want to mention, next Sunday, the same day Mercury goes direct, we have a beautiful Sun trine Neptune, which is just, you know, just tapping into the creative imagination, and this beautiful flow comes out. Like somehow our idealism will be appealed to in a very harmonious way. It's, you know, it's a good day for spiritual retreat type stuff, contemplative energy, creative, imaginative, artistic work. Just working on something like that. It is a passive energy too. I mean, it may just be a day where you're just like, I am not getting out of bed or the couch today. I feel totally good with where I'm at. Don't want to deal with the real world. And you know what? That's okay. Because your inner real world is just as real as that world out there, maybe even more so. And if you can change that, you can help change that one out there. All right, this is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. I know it's hard times right now. If anybody needs any help with an astrological reading, I'm available. Email me, we'll talk prices. My email is matthue23@gmail.com. Please share the post with anyone you know who's interested, and sign up for the channel at the bottom so that you don't miss any of them. And I know it's a busy time, but hopefully what I'm giving you guys helps a little bit steer the course each week. That's my only intention here. All right, until next week, we'll look at what's going on the middle of July next week. Let's sail this last week in Mercury retrograde is going to have some choppy waters. Don't try to lash out at others. Try to figure out inside what you're going to do first. All right, until next time, namaste.